Just give yourself a moment to ask yourself exactly where you are right now, what's working for you, what's not working for you, and figure out what you really want to be doing and come up with a plan that aligns who you truly are against it all.
Welcome to the Be It Till You See It podcast, where we talk about taking messy action, knowing that perfect is boring. I'm Lesley Logan, Pilates instructor and fitness business coach. I've trained thousands of people around the world, and the number one thing I see stopping people from achieving anything is self-doubt. My friends, action brings clarity, and it's the antidote to fear. Each week, my guests will bring bold, executable, intrinsic, and targeted steps that you can use to put yourself first and be it till you see it. It's a practice, not a perfect. Let's get started. Welcome to the Be It Till You See It Rewind episode, which this one's happening to drop on Christmas Eve for those of you who celebrate. It is the holiday season, and if you are just finding yourself taking a little extra time in the bathroom or a little extra time in the bedroom, or somehow you're walking your dogs a couple extra times in a day, I see you, and you keep doing that. You are allowed
Why would you be doing that?
Because everybody needs more space than they get during
the
holidays.
A little more space during the holidays.
And by the way, do not feel bad about it. Do not feel like you should be guilty or there's something wrong with you. Actually, we all should be given more permission to take extra time that we need wherever we are. Maybe you have to rush to the grocery store for one thing and the line's just really long, and that's okay. You can listen to this episode. So Today, our rewind happens to do with our favorite biz episodes. And of course, like all the other rewinds, you can possibly put all of our favorite business episodes in here. And you don't have to be a business person to get anything get something out of this. Actually,
there's a lot to get out of this if you don't have a business.
That we picked are applicable to not just business. They're applicable to life. So please listen, because I think you're going to get a lot out of it. So we're going to talk about showing up as your truest version of yourself, or taking a pause. We're going to talk about visualization. We're going to talk about your strengths and how if you are in the basement or the balcony.
What?
And we're going to talk about how challenges grow as your business, or AKA you grow. So wherever we create business, you can just think me if you are not someone who works for yourself. So here we go. All right. So we're going to take you back to episode 27. So we've had Corinne Walsh on recently. If you're a new listener, you've been listening to the last 100 episodes, she's been on recently. We actually had her on episode 27, and it's just a fabulous, fabulous episode. We actually dive into showing up as the truest version of yourself, which is, by the way, one of the fucking hardest things to do. Can we just acknowledge that showing up as your true self can be scary AF?
It can be scary AF. Also, I think we never want to be the person that sticks their head above the crowd. Well, at least we're told we shouldn't. But like we were talking about during the intro here, it's okay to take a pause. Okay. And Corinne talks about that too. So if you do need to step outside, take a walk around the block, whatever during this holiday season, that's okay to do. You're allowed to do that. It is important to take time for yourself. And it's also important to take time away from your business. Taking a pause, even from the thing that we're focused on 24/7, is healthy.
And by the way, for those of you who work for someone else, it's okay to take a time away from your job. And if it's not okay, if you live in the States, we have got to start, taking some of our time back, because people in Europe, in some countries in Europe, it's actually seen as a bad thing if you respond to an email around dinner time.
Right.
So I just think we can get some inspiration from that.
Yeah, love it. Okay, here we go.
To be it, and where I would add is yourself. It's being it is truly showing up in your truest version of yourself. And so the biggest tip, if you haven't paused for a while, is to take a pause and use my retrospective exercise, but just give yourself a moment to ask yourself exactly where you are right now, what's working for you, what's not working for you, and figure out what you really want to be doing and come up with a plan that aligns who you truly are against it all, because it'll always be out there. Whatever it is you want to achieve or bring into your world is out there for you to have. You just need to pause to see it sometimes and evaluate the direction you need to go in order to step into it and really make it happen for you right now.
That was episode 27. And if you want to do Corinne's retrospective exercise, we have linked it in the show notes for you. So go check it out. I actually do this retrospective on Fridays, especially after a busy week, because sometimes you can forget what you did and you could forget that you like actually made magic happen. So I love her retrospective exercise. Brad and I do it with Kareen often, actually. So it's really, really cool. So get that in the show notes.
Okay, next up, we got episode 99, on to Plan Z or Z with Chinwe Onyegoro.
Do you know that when I was on my flight to New Zealand, I was asking for the Wi-Fi link and he was saying Z. He was saying like, oh, the password is whatever, 123 ABC Z. And I was like ZED. And he goes, no, Z. And I was like, ZEAD? And he goes, no, the letter Z. And he dropped his New Zealand accent to just say it. And it's an American. And I was like, oh, got it. It's a letter.
Okay. Yes. Visualization and also who you want to be surrounded by or interacting with. Yeah.
Let's get into it.
Okay.
I think the first thing that I would say is visualize. Like there's so much that you can do to just change how you feel about what you're doing right now, just by visualizing what you want to be feeling like when you hit your goals, who you want to be surrounded by and interacting with, and what you want your day to be like, right? And so visualize it, because that is something you can control right now. What ends up happening is when you visualize it, the world, the universe conspires to help you to get there, right? Because it's top of mind. So like every decision you're making is taking into consideration that visual, that feeling, and you just will it into being. And so I would just say visualization is huge. And if you cut out magazine articles, do whatever you need to do to like get in that zone and stay there.
Okay. So that was episode 99. Highly recommend listening. She's an inspiration. She's kind of a badass. I love how she got into what she's doing. Okay. Now we're going to go into episode 155. Are you in the basement or in the balcony? Kevin Keppel, who by the way has almost as good a name as me. But I so enjoyed this person. He is really awesome. And kind of going back to like Amy Ledine's inner bitch, inner boss. Like this is another way to look at how you're talking to yourself. I don't know. This guy's about strength finders, Brad. And that's one of your favorite things to talk about.
It's true. I'm all about it. High level here, basement or the balcony, your strengths can also be your weaknesses. And it's difficult and challenging to have that third party perspective of yourself to discern, am I in the balcony of my strength or am I in the basement of my strength? And Kevin goes in depth about this here, and I found it really helpful. So let's take a listen.
One of the cool things about strengths, like your natural sources of energy, and energies can be indifferent, right? Like it's power, it's our natural power, but gravity is super powerful. You and I don't float away to the moon or whatever, right? Thanks to gravity. But if we go up to the top of my house and jump off, we go crashing into the ground, right? It's not malicious. It's just going the way I direct it. And so with my strengths, I need to make sure they're pointed in the way I want, like significance. You mentioned that one. I have that one fairly high too. And that's a really great strength because it's about make an impact in other people, make an impact in the world, make an impact in ourselves. And that's the balcony, right? The good version, that negative space on the basement, if you will. The basement's like when I make things really important that aren't that important, right? Mm-hmm. And maybe even making it all about me, right? The me monster comes out and then just pushes people away. So the basement is like our negative behavior, like when we're making it all about us with our strengths. For instance, maximizer is my number one strength. Maximizer in the balcony is like just fascinated with elite, like whatever, mastery looks like in this, whether it's a person I'm working with, like Lesley, like you're a champion. I was so excited to be on your podcast. Like I listened to it before I reached out because I wanted to be around somebody I feel like is a master. You're definitely a master at being with people and just doing what you do. And that's really attractive to a maximizer because I wanted to just be around it so I can like, how can I use some of that for me and help people like her or whatever? And that's obviously really healthy, getting to like just elite levels. The basement on maximizer is nothing's ever good enough, right? Like, well, let me just make it a little better and a little better. And it's like, how did you even get dressed today if it's not like absolutely amazing, And so it can be very picky. And so the question people ask, like, how do I get out of the basement once they understand the language, right? It's like our blind spot. I'm like, man, it's really simple. Stop making it all about you, right? Because if I'm solely focused on me, then like that gives the ego a lot of time to jump in.
All right. Next up, we have Ripley Rader, where she talks about us being little ducklings and how we might seem cool as a cucumber on top, but we are furiously paddling underneath, and how the different ways that we portray our businesses to the public versus ourselves, and as your business grows, the challenges that you face grow with you. So you might have conquered the thing you're conquering today, but then you're going to face new challenges as we move forward. So enjoy.
We call ourselves little ducks all the time because we seem super cool. And then underneath the water, I am kicking so hard that like you wouldn't. And it's not anxiety, it's actions, it's ideas, it's movement, it's balancing all the balls in the air. We can all look as cool as cucumbers, but you know, anyone who's an entrepreneur is a extraordinary hard worker.
Yeah.
And there's no way around it because you can't fake it. Like I said to my PR team when I first hired them back in the day, we don't have them anymore, but they're amazing. But I said, you know, when we get bigger, we're just going to hand stuff off. And she looks at me and she goes, when you get bigger, you just work harder. And I was like, what? Really? She's like, yeah, you just work harder and more. And she's like, it's awesome, but that's the truth. And I thought, wow, no one had been shooting straight like that with me. So it was like an awesome thing to hear. I was like, huh, okay. And to be honest, now that I'm on the other side, very true. Very, very true.
All right, loves. That was episode 232 with Ripley Rader. And like I said before, the pants are as good as they say. That's what you hear on. They're like, oh, this pants that everyone's talking about on social media. And I have them. I love them.
You even have some jumpsuits, like
I have
flowy.
I have too many things.
All the things.
I don't have enough.
They're great.
To be completely honest. I love it all. So definitely take a listen to the whole thing. Also, if you watch it on YouTube, it's quite fabulous to see two redheads with two great names having a great conversation. I'm just going to say that right there. You guys, I hope you enjoyed this rewind on the biz tips. And even if you do not work for yourself, I am sure you got something amazing out of one of these clips.
Yeah.
Please share this with a friend who needs it. Someone who needs to be reminded their hustle doesn't have to be a hassle. Someone who needs to remind themselves that your strengths can also fuck you up. And sometimes you just have to know how to identify that. All these tips are just such great reminders. I know for us, we had some like, don't forget that. That was really great. So you know what happens next. I'm Lesley Logan.
And I'm Brad Crowell.
We want you to rate and review this podcast, share it with a friend. And until next time, most importantly, please be it till you see it.
Bye for now.
That's all I got for this episode of the Be It Till You See It podcast. One thing that would help both myself and future listeners is for you to rate the show and leave a review. And follow or subscribe for free wherever you listen to your podcast. Also, make sure to introduce yourself over at the Be It Pod on Instagram. I would love to know more about you. Share this episode with whoever you think needs to hear it. Help us and others be it till you see it. Have an awesome day. Be It Till You See It is a production of the Bloom Podcast Network. If you want to leave us a message or a question that we might read on another episode, you can text us at +1 310 905 5534 or send a DM on Instagram at BeItPod.
It's written, filmed, and recorded by your host, Lesley Logan, and me, Brad Crowell.
It is transcribed, produced, and edited by the epic team at Diseño.co.
Our theme music is by Ali at Apex Production Music, and our branding by designer and artist Gianfranco Cioffi.
Special thanks to Melissa Solomon for creating our visuals.
Also to Angelina Herrico for adding all of our content to our website. And finally, to Meredith Root for keeping us all on point and on time.